Hi, hello, welcome to the next session on filling the Common App. And in this session, we are going to learn about filling the activities section on Common App and writing the Common App essays. And we have Mandy Haynes with us from Muhlenberg College. Before we begin the session, let me give you a brief overview of Mandy. Mandy has devoted the last 16 years to help students navigate the college admissions experience, both in international college admissions and college counseling. She has traveled to more than 30 countries and currently she focuses on India, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and South Korea. Her responsibilities include guiding and counseling students through both the admissions and financial aid processes. Welcome, Mandy, to Next Genius webinars, and we are looking forward to the session.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to present this session. These are a few of my favorite aspects of the Common Application to talk to students about. So hopefully I can give you some very helpful tips today. Let me just, I want to make sure that you all have my email address. So take a moment here to take a snapshot or copy my email address if that will be helpful for you. I do want to also let all of you know that I have some construction happening in my neighborhood. So you might hear some loud bulldozers, and I apologize for that. Hopefully it's not disruptive. So let's talk about these aspects of your Common Application. Of course, before you get to your activities and essays, you will have started your Common Application profile. So I want to make sure that all of the students have done that part first, creating your profile and creating your Common App dashboard, which is where you can add colleges. And it's so helpful to get an update on the status of your applications and what different materials the individual colleges require. So that will always be step one in the process. But then in terms of sharing your extracurricular activities, there is a section on the Common Application where you can list your co-curricular activities that you've been involved in. You have space to list 10 different activities. And students sometimes feel nervous if they have fewer than 10 or more than 10. What do I do? And so what I want to assure you is that when college reps like myself are reviewing your applications, we're not counting the number of activities you're involved in. We are looking for quality over quantity. So we would prefer to see that you have activities that are meaningful to you, that you have been committed to. And so it doesn't necessarily tell us a lot about you if you have 20 different clubs, but you haven't really been active in those clubs. So think about quality. Think about the kinds of activities that you regularly devote time to that means something to you. Those are the activities that we want to know about. And they might be school clubs and organizations, activities that you've been involved in inside your secondary school. But they could also be, clubs and activities that are outside of your high school. Perhaps they are community-based organizations that you're involved in. You might also have individual involved in music and the arts, and that becomes a regular part of their time is devoted to practicing and rehearsing. Some students love to read or write, and they do that regularly. Those are great things for colleges to know about you. You might also include your engagement with different religious services. Perhaps you are part of your church or your temple or your synagogue, and you regularly commit time to that, or you're involved in a youth group or some sort of service component there. Volunteering is something that many students are involved in within their community, and volunteering is something that you can add to your extracurricular involvement. I also want to say that not all students do volunteer during high school, and that is okay. I've had lots of questions from students who've said, I haven't done any volunteer. Should I do something this year so I can add it to my application? You should never participate in something because you think it will look good on your application. You should participate because it's meaningful to you. And so again, it goes with quality versus quantity. But anyway, this should give you a great idea of the kinds of activities you might consider listing on your application. If you have more than 10 activities that you have truly been active in, and you feel that it's important to submit a separate resume or CV, you can do that for most colleges. We will accept a supplemental piece of information about you, but that's certainly not something that's required. So please don't feel like you need to create a separate document, especially if it's just mirroring what you have already put on your extracurricular list on your Common application. And this is just an example of what those fields will look like on the Common App site, where you'll be able to list the activity type. If you had a leadership position, you can list, of course, the organization name. It's really important if you have participated in an organization that has an acronym, please share the entire full name of that organization so that we can appreciate what you've been involved in. And I'll give you an example. I mean, many students are involved in Model United Nations. Of course, most of us know that that's MUN, but there are some other clubs and organizations that maybe aren't as well known. So make sure that you share the full name with us so we can appreciate your commitment to that. All right, I really want to spend most of our time talking about the essay, because this is where students get kind of bogged down, and you really need to spend a lot of time crafting your personal essay. So let me give you some ideas about what we hope to see in your essay. First, we hope that you're going to write about something that's important to you. Students always ask, what should I write about? What do colleges want to hear? It's not about what we want to hear from you. It's really about what you want to share with us. This is your story. This is your one opportunity to tell us things about you that the rest of your application file won't tell us. So give that some thought as to, what do you want us to know about you? What qualities do you possess? Who are you as an individual? We know that you are so much more than your grades and your test scores. So tell us, who are you? We also want to know how well you write. College is very rigorous, and I know that you are in rigorous secondary school programs now, but college is going to be really quite rigorous. And whether you are an English major or a math major, you're going to be writing a lot in college. So we want to make sure that you're coming in to that rigorous education with some solid writing skills. So in addition to learning about who you are, we also want to know how well you write. And we want you to do some self-reflecting, to tell us about things that are meaningful to you, about lessons that you've learned in life, challenges that you've overcome. Really give some thought to developing that kind of an essay that gives us an idea of what you stand for as an individual. Some things that stand out in an essay, sometimes in good ways, sometimes not so good ways. A strong essay is one that is really well developed, so it has depth to it. It's thoughtful, it's creative, it's introspective, it shows curiosity and a passion for something. It's written in your genuine voice, and it's specific. And these are some broad things to consider, but most of it boils down to writing an essay that's really true to who you are. And I'll give you an example. Some students, some people are very funny. And so they might just be the kind of person who, just engaging in casual conversation, you find that they're very humorous and fun to be around. And if you are that kind of person who really kind of invokes humor a lot, it's okay to do that in your essay. Again, make sure that it's thoughtful and appropriate for a college essay, but it is absolutely okay to put some humor in. However, if that's not something that comes natural to you, don't do it because it will seem forced. It won't really be your authentic voice that you're sharing there. So you want to just really think about that. And generally, essays that maybe aren't quite as strong don't really have a specific focus. They're very general. And when you think about just writing a paper or an essay in general, you're going to have an introductory paragraph, then a few paragraphs in the body that are kind of building upon the main point of your essay, and then a solid closure. So a general essay can just kind of drift in different directions, and it's hard for the reader to really get a sense of what is your point here? What is it that you're trying to share with me? Don't feel that you need to add in a lot of big words. And we can tell when students have gone to the thesaurus to really pull out some words that they think will be impressive. Sometimes it sounds forced. So again, you want your essay to be in your natural speaking tone. So it can be conversational. You don't have to load it up with big words so that we know that you know those big words. Keep it authentic and write it in the way that you would speak. Again, the biggest thing is writing what's important to you, not what your parents want you to write, not what you think admissions counselors want to hear. There are some common mistakes that we see in drafting essays, and the biggest one is probably assuming that you can just sit down and write your essay in one draft and then you're done. This is too important to be done in one sitting. So you want to make sure that you are giving a lot of time to this exercise in your college application. I always tell students, don't just even try to come up with one topic. Maybe brainstorm 2 or 3 topics and, do some different drafts, but you're not going to sit down and write your college essay in one sitting and be ready to submit. Another mistake is that sometimes students write really compelling essays, but those essays are focused on someone else. Maybe you're writing about a parent or a grandparent or a friend or a mentor. And that's great, but what we want to know is about you. So if you are writing about another person, you need to bring that essay back to you. Maybe you're telling us about an experience that you learned something or you went through personal growth. If you are weaving other people into your essay, make sure that you remain the focus of it. The whole point of this is for us to learn more about you. All essays do not need to be happy, nor do they need to be sad. So again, write about what feels most important for you to share with us. And it doesn't need to be, a huge life-changing event. It doesn't need to be something that was catastrophic, but nor do you need to feel the pressure to wrap everything up neatly at the end and feel like you, have tied it all up neatly. However, you do need to have a strong conclusion. Oftentimes I read essays that start out really great, and by the time you get to that ending paragraph, you've really lost some steam, and I'm not sure, it just kind of drifts away. So make sure that you are beginning strongly and ending strongly as well. And sometimes students get advice about not writing essays that are kind of cliche or often repeated topics. And these can be, about sports or volunteer opportunities or summer camp. I think it is your story. You write about whatever is most important to you. And it's going to be uniquely yours anyway. So don't worry about, a topic that might be used repeatedly. Everyone has a different story to tell and a different take on it. So when you're getting started with your essay, as I said, don't attempt to sit down and do it in one sitting. Give yourself time to brainstorm ideas, come up with different topics, different subjects, and then, kind of start with an outline. And then you can begin to add the details to your story. Even if you don't start in chronological order with your intro first, that is okay. Get your ideas down on paper first. That is the most important. You can go back and add your introduction. You can get to your strong conclusion. Just get your thoughts going by writing. And if you have a topic in mind and you're having trouble writing one paragraph about that topic, it's probably not your essay. So maybe move on to another idea that you have. It shouldn't be a struggle to complete a 650-word essay on your chosen topic. I always tell students, it is a hard stop at 650 words with a common application. So don't go over, not even by one word. But in your draft, don't worry about word count. If you end up with 700 words, that's okay. You can always edit and delete, but it's hard to force, 100 more words if you're really short. And then treat it like a puzzle. Get your ideas down first, and then you can kind of move things around and really edit and clean it up. And the cleanup part is really shaping your essay, right? So you want to, as you're shaping it, really start off with a strong introduction. Get the reader hooked, right? Make me so intrigued that I can't wait to keep reading and learn more about you. Be descriptive. You might have heard from some of your teachers this about your writing. Show, don't tell. So use descriptive words. Use active verbs that really help your reader get a sense of what you're telling, and it is more interesting to read in that way. And then the why is important. As you are putting your essay together, ask yourself, why is the reader going to care about this? Or why am I taking the time to write this? That's usually the piece that we're really getting at, is why. Why was your summer camp experience amazing? Why was that big football game life-changing for you? Those are the points that you want to make strongly in your essay. And before you get to the point of uploading and submitting your essay, you want to go back to that final draft a couple more times. Let it sit for a few days, go back to it, read it, and then edit it again. A great exercise is reading your essay out loud. Does it flow well? Does it make sense when you're reading it? Are you finding any grammatical errors as you're reading it aloud? So be ready to make those edits as you're reading it aloud. and I guarantee you're going to have a few more edits to make. So those are really important final edit opportunities. And then share your essay with your college counselor or a teacher. Maybe they'll give you some feedback and maybe you'll edit it then. Let your parents or a friend read it. Maybe they will offer some edits and maybe you'll edit. You want to always make sure that your work is your work, that it's in your own words. So you're not necessarily looking for a teacher or a parent to change your words or change the meaning. I know that my colleague Kristen talked briefly about the COVID-19 question. Common Application has included this question on the application this year. And I think Kristen gave really great advice that this is an optional question. You are not required to respond to it. However, if you feel that there is additional information that you have been impacted by COVID-19 and there's information that you want to share, you have a space to do that here, which also allows you to write your personal essay about other topics and not feel that you need to use that essay space for COVID-19 related issues. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and happy to answer any questions. I know that was a very fast overview about some very important aspects of your Common Application.
It was a fast overview, but we clearly understood. It was a very detailed explanation on filling the activity session. So if you have any questions regarding the session, you can ask right now. Aradhya has asked Mandy, we're taking up the questions. Her essay has 670 words, and if there is any problem, the word limit is 650. So if we exceed the word limit, is there any issues?
Yes, there is definitely an issue because the Common App, when you upload your essay into Common App, it will cut off at 650 words. So it can end your essay mid-sentence. So you need to go back and edit and make sure that you are within that 650 word count.
Great. There's one question about the COVID essay. Shall I write about the positive impacts of COVID or in the COVID section?
You absolutely can. And I have seen students who have written about, service work that they've gotten involved in during COVID, or students who have taken on some great initiatives with independent studies or new hobbies. You can absolutely write about those kinds of activities in that section. Yes.
Thank you, Mandy. We'll take up one last question, that is, can national and international rankings be put under the honors and awards section in Common App?
Yes, yes. In addition to the extracurricular grid in the Common Application, there is a section for honors and awards. So you should absolutely list any, school awards or national or international awards, anything that you've received that is in recognition of your academic or extracurricular involvement. We really want to know about those.
Okay, Mandy, I hope that answered your question. There are some more questions coming up. We'll quickly take that up. Does the activity I feed in need to be certified by my high school or any other institution? This was asked by Jessica.
No, it does not. And sometimes students will include certificates from different activities that they've been involved in. Those are not necessary. So you don't need to submit anything to certify your involvement.
Great, Mandy. One last question. It's asked by Shreya. What would be a good amount of colleges to apply for, and how many safely target and dream schools should I apply to?
Oh, that's a great question. If you have a college counselor at your school, I would strongly encourage you to work with your college counselor on that. I know that the Common Application will allow you to apply to 20 schools, which is a lot. So I think that most students tend to apply to maybe 10 or 12 schools. And while you can absolutely have some aspirational schools or your, dream schools, you want to make sure that the majority of the schools you're applying to are schools where you fit the academic profile. So your grades, your test scores, if they're looking at those, fit the profile of students that they're looking for. Because if you apply to more reach schools, then you might find that you don't have as many options, that you haven't been admitted to many schools. So you want to have great options at the end of your application process so that you can make decisions about the school that's right for you.
Thank you so much, Mandy, and thank you so much for enlightening us on filling the activity session and also the Common App essays. Before we close the session, in 1 minute, can you just give an overview of Muhlenberg College to all those who are attending this session?
Oh, absolutely. Muhlenberg is a small liberal arts college. We have about 2,000 students. We are located in the state of Pennsylvania, which is in the northeast region of the US. We are in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's the third largest city in the state, and it's about 90 minutes west of New York City. So we are suburban, very safe, lovely community, but very close to a major US city. So students have access to different kinds of environments. 39 majors at Muhlenberg. Theater and dance is our signature program. We have one of the top theater programs in the country. Also very strong in business, biology, psychology, flexible curriculum. So over 30% of our students double major and graduate in 4 years. Emphasis on research, on internship programs. Over 60% of our students study abroad. And it's a residential community, so you live and learn in the community for 4 years. Lots of clubs and organizations and activities to be involved in. And that's why we're interested in knowing how you've been involved in high school, because we hope that you will continue with those kinds of activities at our college. And then finally, Muhlenberg is known as having the best on-campus dining food in the state of Pennsylvania, and we're number 15 in the nation. So not only will you study hard and play hard, but you will eat very well at our college.
That's really good to know. Thank you so much, Mandy. It was a great session and it was